Welcome to the NerdLore podcast, where we talk stories, theories, and lore. I'm one of your three hosts, Shiny Shoes.
And I'm Crashstarling.
And I'm TheRealSkandle, baby. The one and only.
And tonight on episode 22, we bring you FANQ, Frequently Asked Nerd Questions. So each one of us has kind of come up with a question that we thought the other group would enjoy pondering, or at least talking about. I'm going to start us off tonight, and my first question is time travel. So first off, does it exist, or is that something that you feel is possible or feasible? And two, regardless of your answer to number one, what do you think would be the most accurate representation of time travel?
Can I just say that I've seen a meme posted recently that says that 2020 is the this is what's happening because somebody keeps going back in time trying to change something, and every time they change something, it makes things worse for this year.
You can't fix it. It just keeps getting worse.
And a prime example of this is murder hornets. What the fuck happened to those things? Like, they were here for like no time at all.
They went back to Asia. They were tired of being here. They were like, yo.
Did you see the video of the mantis eating the murder hornet?
Yes, I did see that. That was awesome.
It was like when a murder hornet comes to the Midwest. It's really weird to watch a praying mantis eat, right? Because it just like moves its head like this back and forth. But what it's doing is it's actually eating, and it always goes brain first. Like, it always goes right to the skull.
I didn't like watching it. It made me feel weird, to be honest.
Right?
I was like,
could you imagine? Could you imagine going out that way? What if that movie Starship Troopers is real, and there's like this massive praying mantis? Can you imagine that being the way you go? Just something all the way down through your fucking skull, getting to your brain. It's pretty creepy,
I'm
man.
ready to be Starship Trooper death, I guess. I've lived a fulfilling life so far. But what do you guys think? I guess blanket, easy first one. Do you think time travel, maybe not currently, we may not have the technology, but do you think time travel is a possibility or real?
So how do you crashed? I'll let you answer that one first.
I am half stupid. So I feel like from my current understanding, like, continuity is a thing. So if you time travel, you don't actually like what Skandle said is that someone's changing like what's happening now. But if you go back in time, from what I understand, because I watched Dragon Ball Z, is that if you go back in time and change something, you don't actually change the current future. You just kind of branch off into a parallel reality, but you could just stay there. I don't know. It's weird how it makes sense. So is it possible to do that? Maybe. Is it possible that I also have someone else I want to throw out there, but could it happen? Maybe. I mean, would I do it? Absolutely. I would do everything I can to screw the future in some other place.
You're doing a great job so far.
So you are saying, I mean, if you had to go yes or no, you're saying yes, you believe that there's time travel's possibility.
Yeah, I mean, if, like, let's say you time travel to another reality and then you screw something up and then time travel just never gets invented there. I feel like that would be the universe's answer to just being like, stop messing with the continuity.
Okay.
I'm trying to write a damn story.
Okay, that's fair. Skandle, what do you think? Yes, yeah or no?
Look, I'm nowhere near the smartest dude in the world, right? Like, far from it.
Close
I'm like fourth.
Yeah.
Third, get that bronze medal in articles.
So I think that's something that's way out of my element. As a science guy, sure, why not? I can't wrap my brain around what would how that would happen. I can't wrap my brain around it, but somebody can, and who knows, man? Who knows? That's too over my head, man. I'm not smart enough for that kind of question. Okay. Yes, I believe it. I believe it's possible.
Okay, I'm also in the yes category. I believe it's possible. Now, for the second part of the question, the part that kind of wraps it in, if you had to guess, what would the outcome of time travel be? So I know, Crash, you talked about parallel universes and stuff like that. How do you think time travel would affect everything?
That's a tough question, man. I didn't have time to. I didn't have time to prepare for this. For me, I feel like if I can quote a Jurassic Park line, nature finds a way.
All right.
So for me, I think that if we ever got too far where we were just messing with nature too much, it would rectify the problem. You know what I mean? Nature rectifies every problem. Eventually, humans they're already a problem, but eventually we are going to be such a big problem that nature will just get rid of us.
Come up with a new apex or some kind of extinction level event.
Yeah. Eventually, I think just like every other great nation, every nation is going to have that collapse, right? And it's at that point when I think we're weakest for Mother Nature to eliminate the human race. So I think that in that sense, if I'm talking about Mother Nature finding a way, I think that if we got too far ahead with time travel and we were affecting too much or taking too much without replenishing, that something would happen. Whether that means that some black hole happens and sucks everything in, I don't know. I'm just saying nature would find a way.
That's nature? Just black hole? That's nature. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to throw out like two things here. Is the first one, so you guys like, I know Skandle was raised religious. I don't know about you, Shiny, but there's like, you know how like Armageddon, I think the original one was based on like a cataclysmic flood around the world.
Back in Noah? Yeah. Or are you talking about Revelation?
No, I'm talking about like in most old religions, there's a cataclysmic flood and there's records. Well, not records, but there's like emerging evidence behind like, oh, there was actually a big ass flood back in the day.
There are mountains with watermarks up the side on places that there shouldn't be water. Like it shouldn't have got that high.
Midwest is flat as hell because of a glacier melting. Like
same thing with dinosaurs, man. It was another problem, and nature fixed that problem, man. I'm telling you, nature finds a way, bud.
The T-Rexes were learning how to time travel, and nature's like, not today, brother.
Right?
So I wanted to throw out the fact that, like, with nature rebuilding and society, you know, like if we get too close to playing the G word that Mr. Skandle doesn't like, if we get too close to that, gravy.
As long as it's a lowercase g, I don't care.
So, like, imagine right now there was another cataclysmic flood that wiped out most of the Earth's population, like right now, like in the next 5 minutes. So let's say all three of us survived. And let's say like a small group of every, you know, like a small group from like different parts of the world survived, right? So if like modern people in like a first world country survived, we don't have technology. We don't have survival skills. We have no records to collect these. We have no reference. But there's people out there right now, they're going to survive. There's people out there right now who already know, they already live off the land. They're going to make it. So there's theories that like we used to think that like ancient cities, ancient civilizations were really underdeveloped, but it's possible that cataclysmic events just wiped out the people who were the most sophisticated and advanced, and they didn't have the down to earth tools to actually survive post apocalyptic world.
That's fair.
I think it's interesting. That's interesting.
No, yeah, that's a good point. My thought into time travel is kind of, it's two pieces that I found that I think are the most, what I believe accurate, or what I think would happen most. Is the first one is we have already experienced time travel, so there are people that have already visited these areas already, but their actions, because they have come back and gone into the past already, they have already become a part of the past. So things that we can't like explain, like a book goes missing, like out of your house one day. You just can't find a book. Well, that happened because somebody in the future has already come back to the past, take that book and do something with it.
And what was so important about that book?
Well, I'm saying anything. Like, it could be any item, but what has already happened has happened because of time travel, and it will continue to happen because we will get to the point where that certain quest or whatever it is needs to happen again, and they will do it, thus making it a loop. But also that kind of plays into, do we actually have a destiny? Do we have as much free will as we think we do? That's why that certain method of it is kind of hard to grasp my mind around. My second thought of how time travel happened, is, so there's a book that I read when I was way younger called A Wrinkle in Time, and they made you read it in school. Their thought process, the way they explain time travel, is time is on a continuous, just a line. And in order to time travel, what they would do is they would fold that line. So they would have no interaction with from this point to the next point in the line. Now, from what I remember, they can't really go back. So you'd be continuously moving forward through time. Basically just speeding it up. You speed time up. And that seems more logical to me than the ability to just singularly pick moments in time you want to go to.
So what you're saying is, and let me stop me if I'm reading this wrong, and if I am reading it wrong, this is still really cool idea. So time is on this line, right? It's just straight like this, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you time travel, you're not necessarily time traveling, right? This is still going forward, but what you've done is you've flipped the line this way, and now it's like folded over in like a, they're laying on top of each other. It looks like a Z, right? And what you're doing is still following time travel in that forward, but that forward is now this way. And then wherever you choose for that fold to come back the way it's supposed to be going, that's where you hit back in time. Does that make sense?
That's closer to what I thought with the first theory of it.
So yes. You're not actually going back in time. You are, but you've folded the line backwards so that you get to see the same length of time, but you're not going back as yourself prior. You're not going back in time as yourself as a baby or whatever. You can see yourself if you choose to, but because that line has gone this way, you're still moving forward, just the opposite direction.
That's actually really similar to how people theorize wormholes work.
Yeah,
you imagine it as that straight line instead of bending.
Nope, we're losing Crashed.
Well, he's in a wormhole, obviously.
See, this is why we don't talk about these kind of things.
We got too far into it.
Life finds a way.
You get too far into it, and now, obviously, the government had to shut him down. For good.
It's so sad.
But kind of to get into what you were talking about as you were going there, that second part of it just kind of moves into, hey, it's in a straight line. But instead of having to experience all of this part of the line, just skip that entire part of the line and then pick up the timeline at the next point in it, where you want to be. So I think that would be closer to what I would assume time travel. What do you got? Question-wise, who's got one? I
got one.
All right, what do you got, Skandle?
Okay, so because I was totally unprepared for this episode, and I did not have a question prepared before we started, I'm going to have to... It's okay, I don't mind spreading the information. I mean, that's what I do. I'm going to piggyback on some of the talk we've had earlier tonight. And what I would like to ask you both is, if you had to pick one apocalyptic movie, post-apocalyptic movie, or book. I know, Sean, you don't watch, or Crash, you don't watch a lot of movies, so I apologize in advance. I forgot about that before starting this whole question. What is your favorite post-apocalyptic movie, book, whatever?
I think I can go first. I will tell you, I don't have to live in this world, right? No,
it's just like the one that you enjoyed reading about or watching about or whatever.
Okay, cool. So there was a movie series that was 3. It kind of got progressively worse, but the first one I felt was really amazing. 28 Days Later. So the
Okay.
zombie apocalypse style. First of all, those zombies, terrifying. They run at full sprint everywhere they go.
World War Z style.
Yeah, I'm like a fat man too. Like, there's no way I'm surviving very long in this. Two,
You'd lose a lot of weight real quick.
yeah, I would 100%. Two, I thought the way that the disease spread was awesome, like how fast it turned people. But I think the coolest part about it is as you go on in the movies and everything else like that. Just as every good post-apocalyptic movie, in my opinion, it becomes less about the zombies being bad people and more about people being bad people. Because, without checks and balances and stuff like that and unlimited power, people become corrupt. So that is kind of the one that I think I've enjoyed watching the most.
Okay. Crashed?
Okay. I didn't actually watch this movie because I don't watch a lot of movies, but I really like how, like in most post-apocalyptic worlds, well, not even post, like you get that, like it's literally happening. Like they're showing the apocalypse and they're like, oh, we gotta fight this. I think my favorite one, the favorite scenario is like Mad Max, where it's like years later and like you've seen how things have progressed, and it's like the artist's interpretation of like anarchy.
Is there any way we can get a cut in of the guy that is playing the fire guitar on the back of the
Vehicle.
the giant
Look that
vehicle?
up.
I will draw that in MS Paint because it's copyright material.
All right, good. Make sure you get it where like because he's like chained to that thing by his nipples, I'm pretty sure. So I definitely want to make sure we get that going.
It's just gonna have like that and an angry smiley face and just like in crayon in the corner. I tried my best.
Yeah.
So you like those kind of that's why you would pick Mad Max, is just like how you see civilization after it's been a few years or whatever.
Well, it's like you're like watching like this summer coming to you, white guys fighting the apocalypse. He has help from a hot doctor.
Yeah, male or female, take your pick. Doesn't matter.
It's the apocalypse. I'm not picky.
As long as they're hot.
Yeah, no, but there's something about the fact that like everyone went crazy and just became like the most animal, like not even the most animalistic, but just like it almost feels like they tapped into a sense of being human, like right on the cusp of being fucking crazy. I just really enjoyed in the previews because again, I never fucking watched it.
You should. It's really good.
It's interesting how and I don't think they're wrong, but it's interesting to see directors' interpretation of how humans evolve after an apocalypse, right? How quickly we forget how equal everyone is, and it's every man and woman for themselves, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. If apocalypse happened right now, my main concerns would be me, my wife, my daughters. That's it. Like, you guys are great friends, and I would try to help you out, but first and foremost, my family is safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would drop back and drop out of society real quick, because people, people are disappointing, man, and you don't want that to happen in a post-apocalyptic world.
I think that's interesting, and like even looking at games and everything else like that. Like Crash, I've never played The Last of Us, but I've watched a lot of it, and the best parts of the game aren't from when she's fighting the monsters or he's fighting the monsters. It's when they're interacting with the humans around them. Everybody's doing messed up stuff to each other, try to survive, because I mean, we live right now in society, and it's a pretty patty cake society. Like I can get up, I can go to the grocery store. All of my basic needs are going to be met for me a majority of the time. But once you start taking away people's basic needs, that's when you really get to know what is someone willing to do for a chicken sandwich. Like right now, I'm not going to do much for a chicken sandwich, but I haven't eaten in 3 weeks. Emily hasn't eaten in 3 weeks.
Sorry, someone's dying.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking that a completely different route. Like,
no. Like
stuff for a chicken sandwich right now. What are you at?
if you've
With
watched
that
The Walking Dead,
Crash, you're going to survive well in the apocalypse.
in The Walking Dead, there's a situation in that first season where Shane is trying to get medicine for a child who's dying, and if he wasn't going to escape, and the only way he could escape was to hit the person who was with him so that the zombies would stop and eat him so that he could get away. It's a dog-eat-dog world, baby. I'm telling you, post-apocalyptic. If it's my family, I'm sorry, man.
Dude.
So for me, to answer my question, my favorite one, and you're going to think that this is really, I don't know if you'll think it's weird or not.
Is it Adventure Time?
No. There's this movie. Okay, so it's called The Book of Eli. And
great movie.
Yes. Denzel Washington is hands down one of my favorite actors of all time.
Probably one of the greatest actors to ever.
There's not a single movie I think that I've watched him in where I've been like, meh. I think even like some of his less, I mean, they were still pretty well known because it's Denzel Washington, but like In Time, those movies that like aren't real popular, not real mainstream, they're not John Q style, right? Like
John Q is American Gangster is probably one of the greatest movies ever made to ever be filmed.
Can I just say there's two movies that I've cried in my entire life, two movies, and every time I watch them I'll cry every single time. Forrest Gump and John Q.
John Q's really sad.
John Q is it's a whole nother ball game when you have kids, because you put yourself in that situation and what are you willing to do to save that? It's like it gets me emotional just talking about it. Like, what would you do to save your child? And he goes through all of it, and it's again, it's a good. That's John Q. That's not the movie I want to talk about. The movie I want to talk about is The Book of Eli. So basically, throughout this whole movie, you see Denzel Washington, and he's like post-apocalyptic, by himself, a loner, but he's like he's not an action star, but he can defend himself from these people who are left alive. But these people, they're shaky, and it's because they've been eating human meat to stay alive, and it causes them to have shakes. So he tries to stay away from these people. And anyway, so he goes to this society, this town, and he doesn't know where he's supposed to be going, but he's been walking, I think it's supposed to be somewhat biblical. I think it's been, I can't remember the exact time, but he's been walking around for a long time, like years, trying to find where he's supposed to go. And I don't really want to ruin the movie, but you should watch it. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Can I just say spoiler alert, or should I? Can I say spoiler? So I'm going to say spoiler, and I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to fucking change it or skip through or whatever, because
I'll put a timestamp in.
Okay, so basically you find out because he takes the daughter of the person who's running the place. The person who's running the place is looking for one specific book. And if he can find this book, he knows he can control everybody. And so his wife is blind, and they have a daughter who's been off limits. Nobody can touch her in the town or anything because he's the main guy's stepdaughter. So anyway, she ends up leaving with Eli, and as he goes, they're trying to hunt him down because they think that they need to get her back, and they know that he has a book, and it's the book he's been looking for. So it goes through everything, and then at the end you find out he's been blind this whole time, and that the book he has is the Bible. It's the only Bible left. And so the guy ends up getting it, and he pisses off his blind wife because he like leaves their daughter. And so the book is actually in Braille, and so his wife refuses to read it for him, so they can't document it at all. And he ends up getting to where he needs to go, which is like a library off the coast of like Portland, Oregon or something. He gets there, and he's been reading the book for so long that he recites it verbatim, the entire Bible, and that's how they get the Bible back, is because it's written down. But
Pretty good movie.
It's a hell of a good movie, and it's fucking good. So anyway, in spoilers.
So, Crashed, question you got for us?
I had really simple questions written down.
That's
and now
okay.
I feel like I have to bring like something to the table, because like, apocalypse, time travel, and I was like, what's the origin of your gamer tag? Like,
I mean, we can do that too. I'm fine with that, because I don't think many people know why we have the names we have.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah. All right.
I'm down with that. That's
All
a
right.
good one.
Okay.
So
Shiny, we go left to right if you want.
yeah, I get it. So mine originated in the year 2007. I got times for it because I remember with the original Xbox. I had, or the Xbox 360, I guess. On the first Xbox, I was like an edgy teenager. So my online profile was Agony17, you know, because I was an edgy teenager. And then,
Did you listen to 3 Days Grace?
of course I did. And then I
I
was
so fucking called out. I was just
Oh, you seen kid, you.
yeah. So I moved on and I got an Xbox 360 and I couldn't move my profile over because me and another friend had been using that online profile to play games on at different houses, so we didn't have to pay for 2 Xbox Lives. So I was finally going to get my own. So, I mean, I was still pretty edgy, so my first thought was, I'm going to be Repent Unto Me. You know, like, that seems, you know, cool and hard-ass. It wasn't, and a million other people had that name. So I used to work in a factory, and all day I worked with a couple guys that were a little bit older, but they gamed a lot. So I would just throw names at them all day. And they would just be like, no. So one thing that I used to do is we would wash our hands with Windex. It's in a factory, and it was a way to clean our hands. We didn't really have water next to us. So we'd wash our hands with Windex, eat some chips or something. And I remember I spilled the Windex all over my boots. And the one guy comes up to me, he's like, oh, look at you in your shiny shoes. And we kind of just looked at each other. We were like, shiny shoes. Shiny shoes, that's it.
Nice.
And that's
Nice.
how I became Shiny Shoes. I went home and I looked to see if it was available, and it was. It's got the 1 and 3 because, again, edgy scene kid, and I thought Leet Speak was cool. So.
So my first gamer tag, you know, when I'm gonna show my age here. SOCOM for PlayStation 2, I think, was the first game I played online. That was like with a gamer tag, right? I mean, you play Ultima Online, you whatever, but like playing a game like that, and you know, you do the typical your mom, right? Whatever, because you were killed by your mom, right? Like your mom gun the other person's name, right? Didn't really like it. Then I had one that was Singe, but it was also Leet like that. It was S1 NG3, but then everybody kept calling me Sing3, and so I was like, well, people can't read good. So
I've bbeen called Shawani Shot Threz so many times.
Okay. But so my first name is Randall, and so my nickname was always Skandle. And well, since 20 years now, it's been Skandle. But when I started streaming on Twitch, Skandle was taken, which was new to me because I've been able to use Skandle because nobody spells it that way, right? So because it was taken already and there were like no videos ever posted by this guy, I was like, well, that's because I'm the real Skandle, and that's why my name is TheRealSkandle. Yeah.
Got him.
okay.
Yeah, because I'm lame like that and really unoriginal.
There's only 2 Skandles, and one of them doesn't even exist. So I mean,
Right. It was like they made it because they knew I was coming.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You should message them like every other.
Bro, drop that name. Bro,
Yeah,
let me get it that name, baby. That's my name.
What would that do though to your branding? You're just Skandle now.
Look, my brand died like 4 years ago, so
It'd be that way.
Less.
yeah, sad day. I still do it every so often. I stream my D&D sessions now on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Time. All right, Crashed.
All right. So mine is weird because I went through lots of aliases and I pulled a bunch of them up, but my original ones were based on my actual name. So I, didn't want to use those because doxing was like not really a thing, but I didn't want someone calling out over Xbox my actual name. So just for fun, I'm gonna read out some of my like 7-year-old aliases until I finally settled on this particular one based on an alias that I wrote out, which was okay. So in order, Bosses kind, which is like something children in German. I don't even remember what it means. Baron Donkhonk, Jimmy the Rustler, Baron Honker of Donks, Goose Island, Grandpappy Oats, and then I settled on an actual alias, and then I turned it into like they switch between each other, and it's Crashstarling and Charles D. Astridge.
Mm.
So,
Can we talk about Honk Bonk?
Baron Dog Honk? Oh
Baron
my god,
Dog Honk?
that was my like when I was 15. That was
What
my
a great name.
gamer tag. Baron Dog Honk. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. But the whole point was I was trying to find something that like I enjoyed saying and I enjoyed reading because I like all of mine were like really stupid and like like an in joke with myself that nobody else understood. Like,
I would have
don't even
laughed
remember-
at Baron Donkhonk if I'd saw it. I'll be honest with you. I'd be like, okay.
I'd be really pissed off if I got killed by Baron Donkhonk.
Yeah, I think that was my Xbox name right after my actual name, which is like Anonymous, which is anonymous without the Y.
But the thing is, I've seen you play first-person shooters, so I would never have to worry about being killed by Baron Donkhonk.
I was a gamer back in the day. Man. I was a gamer.
I was killing that Halo 2, baby.
Oh my god, I was actually really sensitive in like Xbox parties because they would throw out like words that I should not use, and I just be like, "Shut up, idiot! Your mom."
They're like, whoa, calm down there, Baron Donkhonk.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so then a game called I got introduced to a game called League of Legends, and I had to settle on one name, so I chose Crashstarling. Until I was originally thinking of like a piece of the stars, the heavens had flown down to Earth and crashed, but then I found out Starling is a bird. So the imagery.
I'm like a bird, I will fly away.
This one won't. It crashed. It died.
There's actually like no real meaning to it. It was just like something that I liked that I could turn into like a name if I ever like wrote a book.
Coming soon, everybody.
Yeah.
Crashstarling book.
Like you're gonna see a book in the stores by Baron Donkhonk and be like,
Yo! The Donkhonk, he's here. Ready. Alright. So, great questions tonight. If you guys have any questions you want us to answer, make sure to put them in the comments or down below. You can get us on the podcast. We have socials. Anywhere you look at NerdLore, we're there. This has been Shiny Shoes.
This has been Baron Donkhonk.
And this is Sing 3, signing off.
Have a good one.